Hello. If you're here, then that means that you're interested in the Roger Salters Institute, also known as RSI, with Irise here at DU. My name is Chantel Mitchell, and I am the Student Programs Coordinator with Irise. So I'm here to talk to you all about RSI, uh, any deadlines, expectations, information in general. So Irise as a whole, we should talk about first. So our mission really is to create a space for faculty and students at DU to engage in developing scholarship that centers um, interdisciplinary methods for engaging with studies of racial inequality, social justice, inclusivity. And we do this all through community-based projects. So our big focuses are creating community-based events, programming, groups to engage in scholarship across disciplines, across campus, with undergraduates, graduate students, DU faculty and staff, basically at every level of the higher education career timeline. There is somebody affiliated with Irise who helps us engage with those topics and also include ourselves in that research. So our identities, our culture, the things that interest us and we're passionate about the most that connect us to the research that we're doing. So Irise helps develop, support, and implement academic programs and activities that promote the advancement of groups of historically underrepresented populations at DU, in supporting them with writing, with conferences, with advancing their research. And so RSI is the graduate student section of Irise programming. So RSI stands for Roger Salters Institute, which is named after Roger Salters, who is a distinguished DU faculty member who had a tremendous impact on historically underrepresented students at DU, which is our focus. So we aim to support graduate students engaged in critical race and ethnic studies research. We help students explore tools for advancing that scholarship. And like I mentioned, including ourselves and our lived experiences in that scholarship and finding the balance or the way to connect and explore the ways that the academy and the communities that we are part of have expectations for us and how we have expectations for ourselves. And so through workshops and events specifically focused on research methods, our scholarly identities as students at an institution, our positionality as students as an institution, we work together to navigate those things, especially through writing techniques and writing accountability groups, research method workshops that are just and inclusive and diverse and interdisciplinary. And we also talk a lot about publishing in the academy, which is a major part of being a graduate student. And so RSI is here to be a place where graduate students who are historically underrepresented in the academy can feel like they are supported and that there are other voices that will uplift theirs and create community with them that doesn't have to exclude their identities or their lived experiences. So we really want to focus on collective and intentional learning. So we want to create spaces where not only we respect ourselves, but we respect each other and we engage with each other's ideas and identities. And so we want to create a collective ethos that centers marginalized voices, rejects tokenization and essentialism, and really upholds and uplifts compassion in our scholarship, in our careers as students and as teachers. And we listen to each other, and that is also part of being a scholar and not just the publishing and writing. Like, it's all connected, and we want to really emphasize that in our RSI programming. And Irise in general, we want to make sure that we're always affirming each other's differences, and that we are finding ways to like critically engage with scholarship that doesn't compromise who we are or what we believe in. And ultimately, we want to transform higher education. We want to make it so that there aren't, this isn't such a difficult thing to navigate as an underrepresented person in an institution. So sample programming for this would include things that the current cohort is concerned with. Absolutely. We would have structured writing time consistently so we can hold each other accountable. We would talk about how to present and submit conference proposals and conference papers. We would talk about submitting to journals, and also talk about submitting longer forms of our scholarship, since many of us as grad students are working on longer forms of scholarship. We'll talk about how to navigate that and the resources for doing that. We'll talk about writing positionality statements, and also learning critical research methods for engaging in socially and racially just scholarship. I think that it's important to engage in interdisciplinary forms of research from many different angles in ways that honor every community that we're doing research on or about or with. So an important part of RSI is talking about and learning how to engage in critical research methods that honor our mission. And also we help with finding literary resources, finding places to publish, finding articles that will help us on our mission to critically engage in racially and socially just research methods. All of these things RSI provides, and we do it together as a community. And just because this is RSI is a graduate student cohort, we still engage with people outside of graduate schools, absolutely, across campus. And that's an important part of our ethos. Irise in general, we really value people across campus in every discipline and at every level, at undergraduate, graduate, faculty, and staff. Like, we all work together. And so a major part of talking about conference proposals and conference papers, how to present them, is that RSI also offers presentation grants, which is an amazing resource that we want graduate students to be able to take advantage of who are participants in RSI. So these grants are open to RSI scholars who are either current RSI scholars or from the previous year. And you could be presenting a paper at a regional, national, or international conference or symposium, and we can grant up to $250 each academic year. This can help you with registration, travel, lodging, presentation materials, you name it, the things that go with the conference presentation life. So rather than just giving you resources for developing your proposal and writing the actual presentation, we also want to help support you getting to those conferences and actually making those presentations happen. So that's one of the benefits of being an RSI. And so in order to become an RSI scholar, there are like a few steps, really one major step, which is an application or interest form that is due on October 15th. So on the Irise website, there is a link for the RSI application, which graduate students must apply to every year. And if you're a graduate student and you're interested in researching social justice, racial justice topics, this is the program for you. And especially priority is given to students with identities that have been excluded from similar opportunities in academia. Like we said, we really want this to be a place for underrepresented voices and scholars to have a chance to see themselves in the field of academia with fellow researchers, with their interests and knowledge being valued and heard. And so if this fits you and your research goals and how you feel about academia. This application is due on October 15th, and the program would begin in the winter quarter and go through to the spring quarter. So once you submit your application, you will receive a notification by October 19th to let you know if we're extending an invitation for you to join RSI. And then you have some time to think. And on October 27th, we hope to hear back from you so you can accept the invitation if you'd like to join RSI. And then in November, in the beginnings of November, we'll start to have some welcome programming so we can get to know each other as scholars before the long winter break. And then when winter quarters starts, we'll start our programming and we'll get right into it, and we'll have so much fun together as a community. So while you're in that intermittent time, thinking about whether or not to accept the invitation, let's say you got the notification that we're extending an invitation, these are the things you'd want to think about when making this decision. So there are some expectations for being in RSI, and number one would be the requirement to attend at least 3 2-hour sessions per quarter. So each session will last around 2 hours. We'll have our Irise graduate fellows, DU faculty, other graduate students, so many other people joining us for these workshops and panels and events. And we'll also have writing time for those. And some of those will be in person or virtual. So you're required to attend at least 3 of those sessions a quarter. You're also required to meet regularly with your assigned accountability writing groups throughout the program. So we'll meet together, we'll do writing together, we'll talk about what we're working on and hold each other accountable, exactly what it sounds like, which is so essential in academia, because we believe that like academia isn't something you have to do alone. And we don't believe that the most like revolutionary academia or the most revolutionary scholarship is done by yourself in a room, but with other voices and other people supporting you and you supporting other voices, and this collective voice and understanding coming through in our research together as a group. And that's how academia will eventually start to transform in ways that benefit us. And so we want these writing accountability groups to be regularly attended so that we create a space where we trust each other and we uplift each other's research and we ask questions and we hold each other accountable, because writing is also like it's a hard thing to do and it takes a lot of time, but it doesn't have to be done alone. So attendance to those is mandatory. And also each quarter, there is a 1 to 2 double-spaced written reflection due, talking about new skills you've learned, knowledge you've gained from workshops, any progress you've made during your writing sessions, and any goals you have for the next quarter or the next school year or summer. So these are the things that are expected from you. And then the things you'll gain from fulfilling these expectations is you'll have a community of accountability partners with peers across disciplines. Like the RSI cohort has always included graduate students from many different fields across campus, and having that kind of community is a little rare and so valuable, especially in these accountability groups. You'll learn strategies to improve your academic writing with those graduate students across disciplines. There's also an end of the year writing retreat, either in the spring quarter or at the beginning or end of spring quarter, which is really exciting, and a place to really focus on intentional writing with your peers and connect with each other, and find other community members to collaborate with in your scholarship. We also have the conference funding opportunities that I mentioned previously. And honestly, being at an institution, one of the most valuable resources we have are all of the faculty, staff, fellow graduate students, undergraduate students who are fountains of knowledge, and they have all this experience and they have all of this knowledge that may be completely different from ours, but so valuable still, and we can learn from them. And so Irise and RSI has affiliated faculty from across the DU campus that can help us with moving forward in our scholarship, or which next steps to take, or even just getting something down on paper or grappling with difficult problems. We have those connections with people across disciplines that can help us achieve our goals. So those are some of the things you'll gain. Obviously, community is very important to us. So I always feel like the biggest thing I gained when I was an RSI scholar during my first year of my program was that I had a community of people that were not in my department that listened to me and were interested in my research and excited for me to continue it. And were excited to hear my voice, how my experience affects the research that I was doing in my field. So I'm really excited to read these applications and to meet this new cohort for the winter and spring quarter and write together and work together on our goals. If you have any questions about Irise, RSI in general, you can email me. Again, I'm the student programs coordinator for Irise, and you can email me at irise@du.edu. You can also find more information about Irise student programming, the past events and programming that we've done. And also the application link is on our website, irise.du.edu. So if you explore that and you have questions, feel free to email me. And again, I can't wait to read these applications and get to know you. So thank you so much for coming today and learning about RSI. Have a great quarter.